Here is the fourth of 6 projects in this series. This quilt is called Baby Owls for Cameo. I had a Susie Shore pattern for owl pot holders that I adapted into applique owl quilt squares. Back to my stash to choose fabrics for the owls. Here are some of my possible color combinations. My first step was to prepare the background squares. I made snowball squares with little blue triangles in the corners. Drawing a diagonal guideline from corner to corner, and strip piece them onto the bigger white squares. 3 different pupil options: open, half-mast, and sleeping. I traced the pupil shapes onto Steam-A-Seam Light 2. Then I appliqued to the white iris fabric. Now that the pupils are on, I can put the fusible web on the back to make the round eyes. To make the eyes, there were several layers, and I didn't want too much fusible web stacked on top of each other, so I cut the center out of each circle and fused them to the back. Each eyeball pair was then fused to its outline color and stitched down. Again, I cut the centers out so the fusible web wouldn't stack up and make a hard little nub. Here's 18 little eyes ready to go. Side note about the fusible web. I use light Steam-A-Seam too. I like it because it has paper on both sides and it's tacky like a post-it note, so I can reposition my shapes. And now with the owl body, I'll cut the centers out because a big sheet of fusible web can also be stiff and ripple and bubble. Blue baby owl cut out, wings, beak, and eyes placed. I cut the wings so they would sit flush with the baby owl, then fuse the owl to the quilt square. For the applique, I use a tight zigzag stitch to go around the body first, then wings, eyes, and beak. 9 baby owls sitting on a quilt. My idea was flying geese for a framing border, so I made a bunch, squared them up, and started auditioning them. I settled on a side-by-side and added another royal blue border. Onto the quilt sandwich. Top, batting, and back, all pinned together. The first step in quilting was laying my anchor lines down, but I wanted to highlight the snowball corners, so I drew a guideline to frame them out. So down the sashing lines, then out and around the square set on point in the corners. Here's an outside bottom corner. Then I started practicing free motion quilting motifs for the corners. This is a Lori Kennedy motif called Square Flower. It's fun and easy and I use it a lot. Onto the owl squares, first around the owl, then echo up and down the curve of the wings. Around the eyes and beak, and finally up and down the body. This is the back. For the white background, I chose a 1-inch diagonal grid to help set the owl off in the center. I traced it out, then sewed it back and forth. Front and back. I was unsure what to do with the final border. I started with some chalk guidelines, then practiced drawing designs out on my piece of vinyl. It's hard to photograph, so I put a white background under it so you can see it better. And we're off to the races. These loopy flowers are fun and they go fast too. Then a wavy double-line border. Unfortunately, I really didn't like this part, so I picked it out and tried again with parallel lines. Up and down and up, over and over. It's fun to get in the zone and lose myself in it. I'm trying to be more brave and fanning lines out at the corners. And there it is, baby owls for Cameo. Tune in next time for Dragon Star for Grandbaby. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.